Hi, Brian Whitaker at Wits End Ranch, talking to you in between some thunder showers here. Stay tuned to the very end of this video. I've got a current update the day of I'm uploading this about something I talk about in this video. Stay tuned. Well, it's time to do a little fixing here in the spring. One of the fixing jobs before the cattle can come out on pasture is to fix what my horses broke, which they might have just accidentally broke. This is my rotational waterline grazing system. This is above ground water line that goes all the way to the end of that pasture, hooks up over there. It tees here, of course, and goes way down there almost towards the woods, or almost to the woods. But they broke this off. This is actually a shut-off valve so that if there's nothing to the left, I can shut it off. But I don't have a valve, so I just cut this. Hopefully the only fix I have to do, and then I'll turn it on for the first time in 6 months. Okay, step one is done. This is the hardest step. These are polyethylene pipe. And by the way, I was wrong. I did have a new, good to keep all your supplies in one spot. I did have a new shut-off valve. So clip the old one off using this. Works really slick. And you just ratchet it down, kind of like sort of like a guillotine. And but the hardest part of this is getting the pipe. You want it tight, but it's really tight to slide on there. Well, you got to heat it up and then it expands. I only have a little lighter, and of course it's a breezy day. And on top of it, it's barely 60 degrees. So if it was like even 70 and sunny, this stuff will expand quite a bit, this polyethylene. But anyway, we got enough of a wind block to get one side done. Now in doing this, be sure to have your clips already on, because I'll slide this over, and then with this, I'll crimp it down. It's not the best. Yeah, see? Case in point. If I would have saw that. Oh, I can still fix that. Sometimes it's really hard pulling them off these tees, because these tees have little barbs like this where the hose goes on but then catches. Designed so it doesn't pull off as easy. But I don't really love these clips like this. In a perfect world, I'd use these hose clamps and tighten it down, but these are cheap, quick, easy. I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but just line it up. I'm crooked there. I can barely do this two-handed. So this just keeps that polyethylene pipe hose a little more in place, but I do get leaks. So anyway, probably can kind of see how this goes. Maybe I can get this done. Let's see. Crimp it down just like that. But you can see it's still might be able to, well, yeah, that's too loose. I might be able to recrimp that, but that's one of the important things I learned the hard way is get your little clips on first. So when you work hard to finally heat it up, get your pipe on, and you just roll this up. Then I don't have to redo it. Redoing my redo. Sure, beautiful day. We've been getting plenty of rain. Not going to complain, but we probably had since the beginning of April, and we even had some rain in March, but beginning of April, it's May 4th today, we've probably had 6.5, 7 inches from April 1st to May 5th here. A couple of days of sun and more rain, but I'm not complaining. We've been dry a lot of springs. Calves, we born, really it's 5 days, but really any day now. So I had a little issue here. This heated this up pretty good and it kind of curled back. So I'll show this. I'm just going to cut it and start fresh. show this thing in action here. I can do this one-handed pretty easy. Just keep ratcheting it down and it gives a nice clean, usually cut. It's okay, I guess. Oh, and speaking of wind, I got a wireless mic on that's supposed to help with the wind. We'll see the results. It's a pretty easy one. Attaches to me and my phone. See how it goes. Okay, we're hooked up and running. Here's the hydrant, just a simple garden hose with a, like I talked about, these are the hose clamps I was talking about. They screw on and they're a lot better secure than those other ones I was talking about. But this is a heavy duty garden hose. It's almost like a radiator hose. Here I got it double clamped. See, there's a difference in those pinch clamps and a kind of a heavy duty clamp that you can ratchet or screw on. That they both work. This is a little, of course these give out too. The screw sometimes comes broken off in the housing or unthreads anyway. Then this is just the polyethylene. Just kind of my design, we'll call it. It's just the elbow, but this hose happened to be the right size, and it was a nice flexible hose to hook to the hydrant. Like everything, there's some good and bad. This polyethylene, it's super easy to work with, super easy to cut, make joints, unroll to where you want it. It went really fast. We had rolls of 100 feet and it would want to stay curled up, but that was the only slight issue. Drawbacks to it: plastic. I don't like using plastics. This is probably going to last a long time, but eventually it won't. Then what? Hopefully by then we'll have better ways of reusing it. If you kink it like a garden hose, it'll stay kinked. Pretty much you got to cut it and start over, which it's easy to splice. Okay, so that's where I made my new, that's good. No leaks. So if I want the water to go down that way, I just open that up. I can hear the water go. So that's working. Whoa. Okay. So maybe this will help someone in doing a project, any kind of project. There's always stuff to do here, whether you have an acre or two or several or hundreds. There's always stuff to do. So there's always projects to do. Redo something, fabricate something, whatever. This is a project I wanted to do for many years. I mean this water line out to other areas in the pasture. It's just kind of the way the ranch is laid out. Like most places, it's got kind of a home base or a headquarters, and then it branches out. And that's obviously headquarters there. And to dig a water line is very expensive. Whether you do it yourself or whatever, it's hire it. And so I looked into this project for many years, how to do it. The main one is what type of material to use, what would I use for connecting then water tanks, how far would I go in between. And after doing research on it and talking to some people, I got a little discouraged because it was, look at this beautiful clover and alfalfa. I love it. Anyway, here's what I did. In fact, this one doesn't even have a clamp. It should, but this is like a heavy duty garden hose, radiator hose with a simple connection and a valve. And these get a little stuck, but first of all, it's always remember which way they go, and you got to look. Okay, it's got to go down, and then I'll get wet, but that's okay. That's good pressure. So that's all it is. You just hook up a garden hose and you fill your tank. That's good water. Well, that's kind of my design. These tees, you can get them readily, and then finding a little more flexible hose here instead of this plastic works better. These are kind of ones that I made after I initially installed it, because like I said, they're a lot more flexible at the hose site when the hose kind of does this or whatever and you pull on it, or when you connect it. I have this polyethylene on a lot of these tees, but when I redo them, I do it with this. Well, anyway, I didn't know how to, they wanted you to do quick connects, they call them. So yeah, which makes sense. You don't have to screw it in, you just push it in, but they're not as readily available. They're 3 times, 4 times the cost. Actually, it might even be more, because then if you have a quick connect on your main line, you need a quick connect female or male or whatever on your receiving line. In other words, the water running here needs a quick connect, and then going to my tank. I've got a connection every 100 feet, and this runs, I don't think it's quite 2,000 feet. You got like, that one leaks a little bit, and that's the old style. Yeah, that one leaks in there, so that's polyethylene. And now to replace this, I'd go back to that kind of that heavy duty hose. But the problem with these is I have a really hard time getting these off the barb, off this tee, so I'd have to redo this whole thing. A little leak, especially these dry years, is not going to hurt anything. I don't always keep this hose on, or this water line on. So anyway, I got discouraged because I'm like, they also wanted you to go a lot wider pipe, bigger diameter, thicker stuff that was kind of a little more heavy rated. And maybe I'll be kicking myself years down the road that I should have gone heavier dutier. But this stuff has ratings of way over of what the pressures I'd put it under. There's another connection, no leaks. Man, this grass looks good here. Dandelions, don't shoot the messenger. This means you got issues, and those dandelions are fixing your issues. They're putting big old taproot down there to get nutrients. No, I don't want a bunch of dandelions spreading all over, but there's less and less every year. In the areas that I may be overgrazed or need some help, that's where they come in and help. I used to be anti-dandelion, spray, not anymore. They'll fix it. Compacted soil is an enemy, and those dandelions, just like this alfalfa, help loosen that soil up and make a taproot so water and nutrients can go in there. Look at all this alfalfa. And interesting, when I got dry, hard ground, if there's dandelion and I'm trying to push a temporary post or any kind of post in, it could be impossible to get through the grass. You go right down the center of a dandelion, it'll go right in. No problem. Nature's trying to fix what you ruined, what you messed up. And I do see less and less. And I notice where they keep their lawns really short, there's tons of dandelions. And then they spray them every year. So you're just shooting the messenger. But I used to have way more dandelions, and there'll be more as it warms up. But plus, they will eat them. They'll eat them. The cattle, horses, they'll eat them. Hondo found a gopher hole. So far, so good. No leaks. Whoa, he's getting way in there. All right, be careful with that. I do not like gopher holes. Fortunately, they tend to stay in the fence lines. I just don't like them out here. Roll a ankle of a horse, a cow, a dog, or a human. But I notice too, as the grass gets taller and thicker, they move out of there, those gophers. I'm sure it's harder for them to get around. But where it's thinner. All right. Squishy, soggy. Hey, it's better than dust this time of year. Thought maybe I had a leak here, but that's just standing water. Not quite. All right, keep going. So the hydrant is where this starts, this water line. And I did not count how many spigots, hookups that I have. So here's another one, so that's another 100 feet. So we'll go to the last one here. Now, I got an issue, and quite clearly the water was here. And I didn't move it a whole lot because it was so dry that I just couldn't move them much. And you see where they came to congregate. It's less grass, beaten down, but in the late fall, I took a bale of hay and unrolled it, and now that is making, giving the soil some protection, and all the seeds that are in there can grow now, and then it won't mud it up. So that worked out real good. It's basically kind of a thatch in a way. It's fertilizer, protection. Oh, got a long way. Beautiful down here. It's going to be a little more wet. I'm trying to find a good spot to let these cows in, have their calves. Still a little squishy, not bad. It does drain well in here. Like I said, we had rain this morning after rain the other day and the rain before that. So it's nice the sun's popping out. So if we get to the end here, have pretty good pressure, I'll feel pretty good. Here's the end. Okay, so that's open, so that's not a good sign. Okay. There is a drawback to videoing. I don't quite pay attention as much, but I could not figure out why that bottom end here, that down there, is just where I came from. So well, I'll just keep coming back, checking each. I try to keep pushing this water line up by as close to the fence line to keep it out of the tracks, and also the animals also let the grass grow around it. Here we go. I'll also put a shut-off valve down here. It should be off. Yes, now. Nice turn. Boom. Should get water now to these. Now let me just test this guy. Look at that. That's a turkey vulture. Just looking for, what do they call it? Carrion? Dead things. They're so cool the way they just, I only see them in the spring and fall. They kind of migrate through. Sometimes they stick around a little bit here, but I see them more in the spring and fall. There, it's pretty clear now. So I'm going to go down, actually, let it run down there. I tell you, I like horses and I like cattle. And with that, I love forage, grass. It excites me. It's always something new to learn. And here's case in point. I read something, and I should give credit to the book. And they talked about a way of spreading some seed in your pasture that's easy. Probably not the highest percentage of germination. In other words, getting the seed going, especially in established pastures like this. My hose is looking good. The water's clear. And I'm walking along and I'm like, what is this ferny stuff? Looks like a little fern. I have never seen it before. And it's pretty thick in the spot where this manure is. It called it common sandfoin. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I planted this. Well, thanks to this book, it said you can put seeds, certain seeds, in the mineral bunk, mineral feeder of the cattle. They'll eat the seed, and out it comes the back end, and you'll get some maybe. And so I'm not sure. And some of it I spread the seed by hand. Now it'd been nice to know what I did here, but seeing there's manure here, I kind of wonder if that was eaten and then cows planted my sandfoin. It's a cool, I guess it's a really old, is it a legume? It's really closely, if you know alfalfa. The advantage is it won't cause bloat. Bloat in cattle is an issue, especially on alfalfa where they get too much gas. They can't release the gas. They blow up like a balloon, and you imagine how that must feel, and then they can die. And it does happen. And alfalfa is great in some ways. A little bit in this grass is not going to hurt anything, but I just thought I'd try it. So that was really cool to see, even if that's all I have come up, to see it, and also to see how they say it grows really well. Well, that looks awesome. That's so cool. Experiment, every year is different, and to see something pay off, but like Michael Scott said when he quoted Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take. Okay, here's an update, an actual today update. This is June 12th, hopefully the same day I'm uploading that video from the footage I took about 5-6 weeks ago in between thunderstorms here, under thunder showers. Update on the, by the way, sandfoin. That's, I think, the proper pronunciation. Now, Hondo, oh, there he is. There it is. Here's an update on it. This is the sandfoin. And there's not as thick as what I thought, but it's still there, and the cattle might have grazed some of it. But it's looking good. It's a unique plant. This grass this year has been incredible. What a blessing. This is actually the second time grazing this, and they've been out on this. Today's Wednesday. They've been on this since Sunday, and you can barely tell. They are out here somewhere. It's been incredible this year, so that's one reason maybe this sandfoin got a little choked off, but there it is, just by feeding it through the mineral. So this has been, I grazed this shortly after I made that video, and I had a calf shortly after that. Second day on pasture, in fact. Had the calf out on pasture, and then rested this from May 12th. So a month ago. So this was rested from May 12th to about June 9th. And look at it, it's just incredible. It's thick, it's tall, it's lush, clover. But I thought I'd give you an update from today. Sandfoin. Thanks for watching. Trails of Happiness.